Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to recreate the look I posted on my Instagram page. You guys showed it so much love, I just had to recreate it for you guys. This is the photo I'm talking about right here, and I created the look using the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. It's definitely a more dramatic, more smoky look, so if you guys have trouble creating looks using your Naked palettes, this is definitely going to be a great tutorial for you guys, and hopefully this will keep you entertained until the Naked Smokey palette comes out, which I am pretty sure is coming out really soon, probably in the next couple days. So I'm definitely going to try and get my hands on that guy, but I know when this guy came out, it was really hard to get. I think at the time I was visiting a Sephora and it just happened to come out that morning. I was one of the lucky few that got it right away. So if you guys loved this look and want to learn how to recreate it, keep on watching. We're going to take just a pinch of concealer and apply that to our lids with a beauty blender. The concealer I'm using today is by Makeup Forever and it's their full cover concealer. This is a really heavy concealer, so that's why I'm saying just use a tiny pinch and then blend it out with the beauty blender. And then we're going to use the new NARS Velvet Shadow Stick in Dark Angel as our main shadow base. These shadow sticks from NARS launched not too long ago and they are seriously so good for an eyeshadow base. They are completely matte and they don't crease up. They make your shadow last all day. I definitely recommend you guys go and check these out. They make a smoky eye so easy. So I'm just going to apply this really close to my lash line and then blend it out using Morphe brush number M333. And it's okay if it's a little messy in the crease because we're going to be putting eyeshadow on top of that and blending it out, so don't worry about it being perfect. The first shadow we're going to be using from the Naked 3 palette is this guy right here, and it's called Mugshot. It's like a deep charcoal, almost taupey color, and we're going to pack that onto our lids using Smith Brush 247. And you can see the reason I used a dark shadow base like this brown one from NARS is because it's going to really bring out that sparkle in the shadows, especially this charcoal taupey color. Next, we're going to be using this shadow right here. It's called Limit. It's like a light dusty rose, and we're going to be applying it using a brush really similar to the one that we just used. It's just clean because I don't want to mix the dark color with the light. And we're going to mix this one into our crease and kind of fluff it out even more than you normally would because it's going to be kind of like our blending shade. The reason I packed on the charcoal color first is because the eyeshadow base was still really fresh, so it was going to give me the most color. And then we're basically going to use every single shadow in this palette. I'm just kidding. But next we're going to be taking this shadow right here. It's called Nooner. Basically it's a darker version of Limit that we just applied on our crease. We're going to slowly build on the color for this look. And we're going to use that same brush we just used and apply that directly underneath the other shadow. And then before I add any more shadow, because we definitely are going to add some more, I'm just going to blend it out because I want the dusty rose colors to be softly diffused into the rest of the skin. And then we're going to concentrate some of the darker colors further into the crease to give the look a little more depth. Next, we're going to be applying this shadow right here. It's called Dark Side. It's almost like a matte gray, except it does have a little bit of shimmer to it, so it's more of a satin. And we're going to be applying it using Smith Brush 230. And with this shadow, we're going to place it into the crease, but mainly keep it towards the outer corner of the eye. We're not going to take it that far in like we did with the rosy colors. And you can even bring the shadow in a little bit right here. And again, we're going to blend that shadow out using the Sigma E40 brush, but we're going to try and keep it really concentrated in the crease area and not take it that high up. If you want, when you're blending out that shadow, feel free to pick up more of the Limit shadow, that really light dusty pink, but really lightly so that it can help you blend it out and so that you'll see that diffusion into the pink. Using a small smudge brush, this one's from Sigma, it's the E20 brush, we're going to be applying the darkest shadow in the palette, which is called Black Heart. We're going to be using that almost like an eyeliner and just placing it really close to the lash line, but just to the outer corner of the eye. And because our goal here is to use a majority of the eyeshadows in this palette, we're going to be using this shadow right here called Burnout and applying it to the tear duct. And I'm going to be using Smith Brush 253. Now that I'm done applying all that color to my lids, I'm going to go ahead and do my skin and then go back to the eyes once I've finished my under eye concealer. This is just the way I like to do makeup. I like when the concealer is underneath the lids because the shadow sticks better, doesn't move around as much. versus doing the shadow on the lower lash line first and then concealer, because I feel like sometimes it'll ruin all that work you did underneath. So that is why I tend to bounce back and forth between eyes and skin and brows and lips and everything. There's no rules to makeup, so it's kind of whatever I feel like doing is what I'll do. Okay, so like I said, we're gonna go ahead and do our skin, and for that we're gonna be using Kojendo's Aqua Foundation. You guys know I love this foundation. It gives the ultimate dewy finish, and I am of course going to be mixing in some of Becca's Shimmering Skin Perfector in the shade Opal. I like to apply my foundation with my fingers first to make sure that it really warms up the product, makes it look really natural, kind of melts into the skin, and then I'll go back in with a beauty blender to blend out the product. To highlight my skin, I'm going to be using the Anastacio Cream Contour Kit in Light. So I like to scoop out a little bit of the product. As you guys can see, I tend to dig in there quite a lot and warm it up on the back of my hand. If you guys haven't seen my cream contouring and highlighting video, definitely go and check that out. I go into more detail on how I achieve a natural looking contour. So definitely go and watch that if you want a little more in-depth tutorial on how to use this palette. And then I'll go ahead and apply whatever's on my finger onto my face, and then with the Beauty Blender, blend out the rest of the product. If you guys like that really crisp cut shadow, when applying this, you can definitely use your Beauty Blender to give that effect on the outer corner of your shadow. And you're gonna look really crazy and wash it out for just a moment, but don't worry, once we add the bronzer, blush, highlight, it's all gonna come together. Before setting that cream highlight with powder, I'm going to add some more of that shadow stick that we used in the very beginning to prime our eyes for the eyeshadow on our lids. And I'm going to apply it to the lower lash line, and I'm going to be using that same brush we also used in the beginning, the Morphe M333, to just smudge it onto the lower lash line, and we're going to concentrate the color mostly on the outer corner and lightly diffuse it towards the inner corner. And I'm going to pick it up straight from the shadow stick like this, rather than go straight to the eye. That might be a little too heavy, so I like to do it like this and then take off a little on the back of my hand. Now we can go ahead and set with powder. I'm going to be using Bed Nye's Luxury Powder in Cameo. And I'm going to be applying that powder using Smith Brush 112. And we're just setting any area where we use that cream highlight. I'm going to finish the color on the eyes by adding some shadow to the lower lash line. I'm going to be taking that first shade that we used called Limit, which is the light dusty pink, and Sigma brush E25, I believe that's what it is. It's kind of wiped off at this point. And I'm going to run that along my lower lash line all the way across. And we're going to take that same dark shadow called Black Heart and apply it using the small smudge brush from Sigma. It's the E20 brush. And we're going to apply it to the outer corner of our lower lash line. To blend out that shadow after we've applied it, I tend to flip the brush sideways and then just kind of run it back and forth. To make the eyes look complete, I'm going to be using Ico's Making Eyes Waterproof Gel Liner in Pitch Black and running that on the upper and lower waterline. And if you're wondering why I always, in every single one of my Instagram photos, always have eyeliner on my hand, is because before applying it, I always like to just kind of warm it up on the back of my hand so it glides on really easily rather than going back and forth and back and forth. If you just do this before you apply it, it tends to glide on a lot easier. And as always, for my brows, I'm going to be filling them in using Anastasia's Brow Powder Duo in Chocolate, and I'm going to be applying the powder using Bdellium Tools brush number 735. I'm going to apply mascara and brow gel after I have Fix Plus my face, so for now we're going to move back to skin, and we're going to go ahead and bronze. You guys know this is my favorite part of any makeup look that I do, so I'm going to be using, as always, NARS Laguna Bronzer, and I'm going to be applying it using that, Mika Fur. And we're going to be using that same brush I used to set the highlight, and that's the Smith Brush 112. Using that same brush, we're going to be applying good old Soft and Gentle from MAC, and we're going to be really generous with this guy because we want to give our skin a really nice glow. You want to apply that highlight to the temples, the tops of the cheeks, bridge of the nose, Cupid's bow, and the chin. And again, we're going to use that same brush to apply our blush. I'm going to be using NARS's Madly. It is such a perfect blush color for this look because it literally matches the eyeshadow in our crease perfectly. Now that we're done applying all the powder to our face, we can go ahead and spritz ourselves with Fix Plus. For this look, I didn't use any false lashes. I just loaded up on a ton of Too Faced Better Than Sex mascara. And I normally don't do this, but I'm going to be using the same mascara for my lower lashes. It does tend to transfer a tiny bit throughout the day, so I usually will carry around a small blending brush to fluff it away when it does end up on my underneath my eye. But it's not too bad. I've had way worse mascaras, trust me. And the reason I'm using the same mascara on the lower lash line is because I just want a really bold effect. And finally, I'm going to be using Anastasia's Clear Brow Gel to just set my brows in place. And of course, you can't forget the lip. In the photo, I had on NARS's Bettina Velvet Matte Lip Pencil, and on top, I applied a little of Anastasia's lip gloss in the shade Dainty. And that completes this tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. As always, make sure to give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe so I can see you in the next one. Bye guys.